what you want to do. Figure it out. Hola buenos. So if you are new here, my name is Daljiimarax. I am your new favorite solo travel channel, baby. I already made the decision for you. If you click on this video, baby, you are here to come to the Solo Travel Master, and you would like to know how to book your first trip. If you are here, then that means, baby, you ready to hit the streets. You have come to the master to show you how to successfully run your first solo travel trip. You probably like, yo, I'm sick of waiting on my friends. I'm sick of waiting on everybody to get their money up, everybody to get PTO. People keep dropping out. Are you sick of the excuses and you ready to just hit the streets? I got you. Don't even worry about it. We're gonna get into all of that today. So this is going to be a very detailed video on how to plan, how to budget, how to make it a successful, how to never stop wanting to solo travel. After you get this trip go on and pop it, baby, you ain't never gonna want to do a group trip. You ain't never want to do a couples trip, family trip, none of that. Okay, I got you. You don't know where to start, you don't know what, I got you. Let's get into it. Okay, so I have my notes here because, baby, I was not playing. I was not playing at all. Okay, let's get into it. Numero uno. This is going to be basically what makes this a success. This is what's going to keep you stress-free on your trip and just make it a vibe. So first you want to decide what you want to do. Okay, you want to be laid out on the beach. You want to be clubbing every night. You want to be, you know, a hiker. You want to go on a nice little adventure. You just want to be laid out on the resort. That's what you got to figure out, okay? What do I want out of my next trip? You might not know the destination. You might not know how long, but at the very least, what is the vibe when you get there? You want to, you know, be laid out and posing for the gram, so you probably going to go some places that's real pretty. You know, if you don't care about that, you ain't care about your outfit, but you just want to be active all the time. You want to go some place that got a lot of hikes, got a lot of adventure. You could do this, you could do ATVs, you could do zip lining. You got to think of these things. You want to go somewhere and just eat some bomb ass food, baby. That's cute too. But that is basically where you want to start. What do I want to do on this vacation? And even if it's a variety of those things, that works too. But that's where you want to start. You don't want to start on the destination. You don't want to start with the flights. You don't want to start with where you go and book it. Start with what you want to do. Figure it out. All right, so once you've decided, okay, I want to do these activities, now this is your time to do the research at your leisure. Look up the YouTube videos, the Googles, the TikToks, the Instagram influencers, like everything in your power to find out where you can do these activities. How convenient are they as far as location and proximity to one another? What are the price ranges for these things? This is where you need to do your research. So if you've decided you wanted to go on a hike, but you also wanted to club, that could be like Lima, Peru. That could be Puerto Rico. That could be somewhere in Mexico. So this is the time you need to look up the best hike in Puerto Rico, the best beaches in the United States, or whatever the case may be. So this is where you have to do your research. This is something that only you can do on your own. You can't read. Nobody can tell you this because this is based off of what you want to do for your vacation. So doing your research, you're going to be able to kind of narrow it down to proximity of where you want to be at. And that's the most important part. Because when you have too many options, it's like, fuck, now I'm never going to be able to decide where to go, and then you end up never going on the vacation. So at this point, take the time to just do the research and, you know, watch the vlogs and the travel guides and all of those good things. All right, once you decide, okay, these are a couple, you've narrowed it down to the locations and the activities. Now let's decide, based off of those things that you really want to do, what's a realistic amount of time you could take off and when. Because this is really where it gets down to how much money you need. If you know for a fact you are not in any situation, you want to go on a vacation within the next 6 months, but you know you, in the next 3 months, you only will have 3 days off, but in 2 more months you'll have 7 days off. Do you want to you know, spend those 3 days on this trip, or do you want to wait a little bit longer till you have that full week off? Yeah, you might have to wait a little bit longer for your trip, but you get to take much more advantage of the location that you go to because you will be there for a longer time. So really sit and think, like, if I take off this many days, you know, what can I do with this? So this is the next point. I want to make it clear The much more flexible you are with the location, the activities, and the time that you can go, and the destination, and the time that you can go and how long you can be there, this is where it becomes much more budget friendly. A lot of people have this misconception that travel is just super expensive, and it's just like, baby, that's because you super determined and you super stuck on this one location at this one time frame and this one style of traveling. That's why traveling is probably expensive for you. But the much more flexible you are with these things, the much more cheaper it'll be. So, can you take off 5 days? Can you take off 10 days? Can you take off a year? This is where it comes down to how much time can you no matter where you're going in the world, no matter the circumstances, how much time can you take off for this first trip? Okay? You got that? Numero cuatro. Now it's time to budget. And by budget, to me, my budget will always be flexible depending on what I want to do, where I want to go, how I want to do it. I have I'm in a situation where it's like, if I could spend a little bit more money here, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm just not going to be, I'm never ever going to be on no super tight budget. And if I have to, then it might not be for me, but we'll get into that. But when I personally say you need a budget, I mean, no matter what, under any circumstances, this is the maximum amount of money that I can spend on this. Like, I can't go a penny over this. Like, this is, I know for a fact that I will have this much money. And what I mean by a budget is like, determine that no matter what, under any circumstances, you know for a fact that you will have this amount of money to spend on this trip. Like, if you don't make another dime before this trip, and how you planned it, you know for a fact you will at least have this much. Okay? Don't be like, oh, I'll get the money, but you really don't got no way to get the money. You're really not understanding the severity of how much this trip, like, know for a fact at least how much you know for a fact you are guaranteed to be able to spend. And then based off of that, then as you continue to plan your trip, you can kind of determine, oh, actually, I want to do this, but I don't got enough money, so maybe I can do DoorDash on the weekend, or babysit, or walk dogs, or whatever case may be, to get you a little extra, work a couple more hours. But have a very much, bottom line, I got this much money I can spend on this trip, let's go. So once you just, decide, okay, this is how much I know that I could spend, then that'll make the trip easier, because it's like, no matter what, if you only got $500 maximum that you can spend on a plane ticket, it don't matter that you want to go to Peru. Peru costs $700. So it don't matter that Peru got all the activity that you want to do, the food, all that. You can't go there. So that shouldn't even be on your radar. So it's very important to have a budget of what you can and cannot afford. After that, this is when it's time to start planning. Based off of your budget and the activities you want to do and things of that nature. This is when it's time to start booking things, getting your money in order, taking your time off, things of that nature. First thing you want to do is kind of have a little bit of an overestimation. If you only want to spend $500 on a plane ticket, if you can, try to make it like $530 or $550 or something like that. Because, taxes and fees, you might see a flight for $500 one day, and you like, okay, I get paid Friday, it might be $525. Like, give yourself a little bit wiggle room when it comes to your budgets. But this is how you want to plan it. This is the order that you will book things, and the best way to go about planning these things. First things first is going to be your plane ticket. After you got your plane ticket money, then you want to, you decide on the destination, then you want to book your activities, or not even just book them, because sometimes you could just wait till you get there to book them. It might be cheaper that way, more convenient. That just needs to be the next thing that you have on your list, your itinerary. I'm hitting these 3 things when I get to this destination. Next, transportation. This means, are you renting a car? Are you doing public transportation? Are you going to be doing Uber? Are you going to be walking, getting on a bike? That's what you need to be worried about after that. And then you want to worry about food, and then like your miscellaneous things, and you're spending money for souvenirs and things of that nature. So that's the order in the things that you want to budget and plan for. Next, be as flexible as humanly possible with these things on your list. Number 1, if you are super stuck on, I want to fly Delta, but 1, you don't even use carry-ons. You don't even check your bags. And 2, Spirit is $200 cheaper. Like, does it really matter to you that much? Because you could save $200 and you only got a carry-on. So think of that. If you are super stuck on the airline, that could be cheaper also, because you might have, you know, status with that airline or whatever the case may be. But if you are much more flexible with the airline, sometimes you could find a better deal. When it comes to the hotel, if you were super stuck, I have to stay at the Marriott, then maybe you're gonna be paying the Marriott prices. But if you're a bit more flexible, like I could stay in a hostel, I could do an Airbnb, I could stay at a bed and breakfast. Be much more flexible with that, because if that happens, then baby, it's gonna be much more easier for you to find the perfect vacation and be within your budget. So be flexible as possible with all of those things that you need to pay for, because that will be the determining factor of how much money you actually need and or actually just end up spending. Okay, now we got the destination we want to go to, we got the activities we want, we have how much money we are able to spend, and we have just a general idea of how the trip is going to go. Now you want to do, hopefully you did this at the beginning when you decided the destination, but much more research on the destination. Is it a cash only? Do you need to exchange from your local currency to their local currency? Is it a Muslim country? Do you need to cover up more? Do you need to dress a certain way? Do you need to, is there a super inconvenient like language barrier? Do you need to learn a couple more greetings and things? Are the people at this destination speak your native language more? Like things of that nature. This is where you need to do the research on the country, the destination. And this is really, you don't want to get to that destination and just be dumbfounded, okay? Like I said, you need to watch the travel influencers, the YouTube videos, do the Google researches. This is where the internet is going to be your friend here. So this, after you decide all of that, okay, I booked my flight, I booked my hotel, I booked this. Make sure you have the right paperwork with you. If you book the activity where you're going to be on a hike one day, some countries you might have to bring your passport with you. If you didn't look at that and left your passport at your hotel, now you're SOL. Like, now you're getting left. So always not just research the destination, but the requirements to move around in that country as well. That's very important. Everything isn't about, a trip isn't just about making sure you got a hotel, you got enough money, and you can eat and do activities. Like those little nuances, those day-to-day things that you may not occur to you, like try to not go thinking that you could just live your life how you do in your own country. Try to adapt to that country's culture and what they got going on, and your trip will be much more smooth. And lastly, this is one of my top freaking pieces of advice. Try not, especially if you stay on a longer trip, try not to book your activities on your first or last day. So if you land at 3 p.m. in the morning, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, try not to book something for 7 p.m. It might take you forever to get through the airport. It might take you ever to get from the airport to your hotel because of traffic. You might get there and it's a later check-in. You might not have the time to shower. From your hotel to the destination might be another hour, and you gotta, like, try not to, those first and last days, try to make those plans a little bit more loose. Let those be your free days, your looser days, unless there's a significant amount of time between the time you need to be leaving to the airport and be at that activity. Okay, so if you got an activity booked at 10 o'clock in the morning, but your flight ain't till 8 p.m., that makes a little bit more sense. But if it's like, I say less than a 6-hour window, don't do it. I'm not even going, unless it's something you can walk away from. Like say you're doing a walking tour. If it's getting close to time, you can literally, all right, y'all, I'm finna leave. I'm finna get an Uber or something like that and go back to my hotel. Like, definitely don't want to be in a situation where you are kind of like stuck somewhere and you gonna miss your flight, okay? Next, on the thing, I forgot to mention this earlier. I personally think this is when it comes to how long you can spend on a vacation. The longer the flight, the longer I'm staying there. If I'm on a plane more than 4 hours, I'm staying there for 5 days minimum. I'm not sitting my ass on a plane for no 4 hours and be there for a 3-day weekend. Unless it's somewhere like I have to be for something, for a graduation party or for work, or if it's a situation where it's like I have to go there. But if I'm just talking about traveling for leisure, the longer the trip, the longer the plane ride, the longer the trip. So keep that in mind. And you would honestly feel incomplete if you were on a super long flight in a very short vacation. Like, that would suck, honestly. So let's, Make sure that the plane and the transportation and all that is worth the actual stay. Okay, boo, let's get into it.